Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. We from 1 DEKA Session 2. Today we will present about our assignment 1, the subject safety and health for engineers. So this is our group names. First we have Ahmad Zaharin bin Roslan and Muhammad Hafizul Hadi bin Haidi, Arif Nazmi bin Akram, and me, Amir Haziq bin Zamzam. And we conducted by Sir Muhammad Saifuzam bin Jabri. So the introduction of OSH uh, stand for classification, packaging, and labeling of hazardous chemical. Regulation 1997. Okay, first of all, occupational safety and health in classification, labeling, and safety data sheet and hazardous chemical regulation 2013 classes regulation. The main objective of the class regulation is to keep the hazardous chemical suppliers to give full information about the dangers of the chemical in their supply. After that, the responsibilities of suppliers as stated in the class regulation to do the classification, labeling, preparing of safety data sheet, packaging and chemicals inventory information submission. Suppliers are defined as person who supply hazardous chemicals and include principal suppliers and subsidiary suppliers. So the part one I will give to Arif Nazmi bin Akka.
Part 1, preliminary station. First, this regulation may be cited as the occupational safety and health class stand of classification, labeling, and safety data sheet of hazardous chemical. Regulation 2030. Interpretation chemicals mean first a substance which is an engineer but and it's blend in the normal stage or got by any collecting communication, including any additional substance in essential to protect its sufficient and any contamination getting from the circuit use. Anyway, notwithstanding any discoverable which may be confined without affecting the downlessness of the segment and its combination or changing its design. Okay, second, chemical mixture which is a mixture or solution composed of two or more substances which do not react. Okay, the importer signify an individual who import a dangerous compound available to be purchased or trade or for his own utilization, including an exchanging specialist. Hazard statement signify an assertion relegated to a class and risk classification that portray the idea of peril of a risky substance, including where proper the level of danger as indicated in the first schedule. Precautionary statement signify an experience scene which repeat prescribed measure to limit or forestall antagonistic impact coming about because of openness to a dangerous synthetic or inappropriate stockpiling or treatment of a unsafe substance as indicate in part 3 of the industry code of practice. And then the fourth hazard pictogram corresponding to the naming of various compound implies a graphical synthesis basing on explicit data on the race worry as determined in the second schedule. Then second industry code of practice signify the industry code of practice on chemical classification and hazard communication support by the minister under area 37 of the art. Next about part 2 classification. Duty of principle supply to classify chemical as hazardous chemical. First, subject to sub-regulation. Two, an important provider will group a substance as a dangerous substance as per the uh, rundown of characteristics synthetic substance indicate in part 1 of the industry code of practice. Second, if the engineer to be mastermind is record uh, as a described compound in part 1 of the industry code of practice. The gathering of the substance as a perilous substance will be according to the physical property and environmental risk of the compound as demonstrated in part 2 of the industry code of practice. Okay. Next, record of classification. A writer provider will record the order of synthetic substance as dangerous synthetic made under guideline for in such structure and may indicate in part 2 of the industry code of practice. Second, an essential provider will make the record of the characterization of synthetic compound as unsafe synthetic substance under sub-regulation 1 accessible for examination by an official. And the last, the third, an essential supply who repudiate sub-regulation 1 or 2 present an offense and will on conviction will in danger to the fine not outperforming 10,000 ringgit of the confinement for a term not outperforming 1 year or two both, and because of continuing will with often to a fine not outperforming 1,000 ringgit for reliability or part of the day during which the offence continues after conviction. Okay, next part I will give to Ahmad Zarin.
Okay, part 3 is Packaging. Packaging requirement of hazardous chemical. First, a supplier shall ensure that a hazardous chemical is supplied in a packaging which satisfies the following requirements. Okay, first, if the packaging is a container, the container shall be so designed and constructed so as to ensure that the hazardous chemical cannot escape unless a safety device is fitted to the container. 2. The packaging and its fastening shall be strong and able to retain the hazardous chemical to meet the normal stress and strain handling. Okay, next, seal of packaging. First, a supplier shall ensure that every packaging of a hazardous chemical is initially closed with a seal in such a way that once the packaging is opened, the seal is broken and cannot be repaired. Number 2, a supplier who contravenes sub-regulation commit an offence and shall, on conviction, be liable to a fine not exceeding 10,000 ringgit or to imprisonment for a term not exceeding 1 year or to both in the case of continuing offence, to a fine not exceeding 1,000 ringgit for every day or part of the day during which the offence continues after conviction. Okay, part 4, labeling. Duty to label packaging of hazardous chemical. First, a supplier should label every packaging of hazardous chemical legibly and indelibly containing the following information such as the product identifier, the supplier identification, the signal word, the hazard statement, the hazard pictogram, the precautionary statement. 2. Notwithstanding sub-regulation, if the packaging of the hazardous chemical is a container of 1 to 5 ml in size and below, the packaging should be labeled legibly and indibly containing the following information, such as the product identifier, the supplier identifier, the signal word, the hazard pictogram, and a statement which read safety data sheet before use. Okay, requirement of hazard pictogram. A hazard pictogram shall consist of a black symbol on a white background and a red border with sufficient width to be clearly visible. Be in a diamond shape with the side title at 45 degrees to the horizontal and be in the size of 1/15 of the surface area of a label but not less than 100 mm. 2. A supplier who contravenes sub-regulation commit an offence and shall on conviction be liable to a fine not exceeding 10,000 ringgit or to imprisonment for a term not exceeding 1 year or to both, and in the case of continuing offence, to a fine not exceeding 1,000 ringgit for every day or part of the day during which the offence continues after conviction. Okay, rule of precedence for hazard pictograms and hazard statement on label. First, if the classification of the chemical as a hazardous chemical causes the use of the more than one hazard pictogram on a label, the following rules of precedence should apply. First, such as in relation to physical hazard, in relation to health hazard. Okay, dimension of label. First, the dimension of a label on a very packaging of hazardous chemical under regulation 8 shall be as specified in 4 schedule. 2. A supplier who contravenes sub-regulation commit an offence and shall on a convicted be liable to a fine not exceeding 10,000 ringgit or imprisonment for term not exceeding 1 year or to both, and in the case of the continuing offence, to a fine not exceeding 1,000 ringgit for every day or part of the day during which the offence continued after conviction. Affixing and tagging of label. First, subject to sub-regulation, and if a packaging of hazardous chemical is a container or contents under the container, the label shall be firmly affixed to one or more surface of the container so that the label can be read horizontally when the container is set down in its normal position. If the packaging of a hazardous chemical is a container of 1 to 5 ml in size and below, the label shall be affixed in such manner deemed reasonable by the supplier. If it is not practicable to affix a label to a packaging of a hazardous chemical due to nature of the container, the packaging should be tagged with the label. Okay, that's all from me.
Okay, my name is Muhammad Hafizul Hadi bin Haidi. So today I want to present about part 5 safety data sheet. So first duty to furnish safety data sheet. Uh, okay, first supplier shall furnish a safety data sheet to a chemical recipient for each hazardous chemical and any chemical mixture containing hazardous substance at the concentration exceeding the limit value of concentration as specified in fifth schedule. So second, safety data sheet shall contain the information relating to hazardous chemical mixture and supply referred in sub-regulation 1. Okay. Okay, third, the information referred to sub-regulation 2 uh, A, accordance with the minimum requirement of safety data sheet as specified in part 3 of Industry Code of Practice. Next, in the national language and English. So fourth, revise a safety data sheet referred in sub-regulation 1 if new information of particular hazardous to available elapsed since the last date of preparation of the safety data sheet more than 5 years. Uh, Next, officer in directed. So 5, supplier finish the revised safety data sheet under sub-regulation 4 after revision. Okay, we move to part 6, that inventory of hazardous chemical. So first, an importer or a manufacturer must create a hazardous chemical inventory for each calendar year that includes information on each hazardous chemical imported or supplied in a quantity of 1 metric ton or else. So second, the hazardous chemical inventory for each calendar year must be submitted to the Director General by March 31 of the following year. So third, the inventory of hazardous chemical might contain product identifier, name of the hazardous chemical, composition and ingredients of hazardous chemical, hazard classification, total quality of each hazardous chemical imported. So we move to part 7, confidential business information. So confidential business information on hazardous chemical is first a supplier can delete or remove the information required under sub-regulation 13, 2 or 14.3 in a safety data sheet or an inventory of hazardous chemical. The name of the name of a hazardous chemical. Second, the composition and ingredients of chemical is secret business information. So second is if the information required by sub-regulation 1 is not provided, the generic name of the hazardous chemical or the permit concentration range of the hazardous chemical constitutes as applicable state in part 4 of the industry code of practice should be substituted. So we move to part 8 to Amirul Hazi.
Okay, I will continue part 8. Revocation. Revocation. First, the occupational safety and health uh, revoked. Number 2, first schedule, hazard classification, hazard pictograms, and signal word and hazard statement. So first of all, we have hazard, physical hazard, and then health hazard and hazard pictograms. So as we can see, this is the physical hazards, and we have explosive, flammable gas, flammable aerosols, flammable liquid, flammable solids, isodizing gas, isodizing liquid, and isodizing solids. And number 9, gases under pressure. Number 10, self-reactive chemical. Uh, 11, pyrophoric liquid, and then pyrophoric solid, self-heating chemical, chemicals which if in contact with water emit flammable gases, and 15, organic parasite, and 16, corrosive to metals. And after that we have health hazard. First of all, acute toxicity, uh, zero toxicity, acute toxicity, and the first, second, and third. The difference is the first one is oral, and the second one is dermal, and the third one is inhalation. And the fourth, skin corrosion or irritation. And five, serious eye damage or eye irritation. Number 6, respiratory sensitization. And 7, skin sensitization. 8, germ cell mutagenicity. Number 9, carcinogenicity. Number 10, reproducitive toxicity. 11, specific target organ toxicity for single exposure. 12, specific target organs toxicity for repeated explosive. And 13, aspiration hazard. 14, hazardous to aquatic environment acute hazard. 15, hazardous to the aquatic environment chronic hazard for long lasting effects. And last one, this 16, we have hazardous to the ozone layer. And this is the hazard pictograms. As we can see, the same symbol, uh, uh, same symbol like before this, A and B. So this is the hazard pictogram. After that, combine hazard statements. Fatal if number 1, swallowed or in contact with skin, swallowed or inhaled, in contact with skin or inhaled, swallowed in contact with skin or inhaled. After that, it will be toxic if swallowed or in contact with skin, swallowed or inhaled. Toxic if in contact with skin or inhaled. Last one, toxic if swallowed, in contact with skin or inhaled. So this is the table of dimension of label. After that, this is the table of cut-off value of concentration. Okay, last but not least, the conclusion. First, the law is enacted to provide well-being, health and safety in the workplace. There are still accidents that happen every year and work, but they are not as common as we would like them to be. The second, people working in certain areas that are recognized as high risk accidents must raise awareness about the importance of safety in the workplace and abide by the rules and the regulation provided by the Department of Occupational Safety and Health. Uh, it stands for those. This can further reduce the danger and probability of accident. So if we follow the rules or follow the step, so we will raise our awareness and we will save if we follow the every step. Uh, so that's all for our group. Thank you.